Hello, hello. I am in a little bit of a different space, so the sound might be a little wonky because it feels a little echoey in here. I'm in a little room at the Union Club of Chicago. Anyway, today, what we are going to chat about, well, actually, first, let me introduce myself for those of you who might not know me. This might pop up on your feed and you might not really know who I am and what I do. I am a coach. I coach professional women leaders who are at that stress level. They're successful in their career. They've accomplished an awful lot. They might be working 50, 60, 70 hours a week, and they are tired of the guilt of not being there enough for their loved ones. They are tired of the fear of that they might sacrifice their success if they take more time for their own personal lives. They're tired of the constant pressure to do more, do better, be the best, and what that is doing to them. And today, what we're going to delve into is what happens if you ignore the cues. How often overlooked signs that are indicating that something is out of sync, something is out of whack, something is out of balance in your personal and or professional life. And so we'll talk first about what are the signs. And there's physical signs, there's emotional signs, there's relational signs, there's workplace signs. So first, the physical signs that you might not be tuned in to the cues or the signs are maybe there's some unexpected weight gain, or maybe you think it's just normal because you're at that age. Persistent tiredness, emotions that are more intense than what you would normally express, anger, apathy, frustration toward people you care about, from people you care about. One thing that I saw that someone posted about was kids taking on your stress, your anxiety, and maybe even saying phrases that they're hearing from you, like, can I just have some time alone? Or there won't be enough time, or picking up on those emotions. Another physical indicator could be you're just not feeling yourself. Maybe you're getting chronic headaches. Maybe you have chronic digestive issues. Maybe you have joint stiffness. Maybe you've got this unexplained kind of just malaise, not feeling good, or even an illness. You've got, you discover a lump, you discover, you're just feeling really run down and you don't have the energy you used to. It is so important that we take any of the small cues when we're tired, when we are, when little illnesses keep popping up. These are signs from our body. And oftentimes, as powerful women, as successful, powerful women, we power through. We just, I can do it. I don't have time to go to the doctor. I don't have time for XYZ. I don't have time to take a nap. I don't have time to, rest. I don't have time to get the 8 or 9 hours of sleep that an average adult needs. And when we run on this lack of sleep on an ongoing basis, it will take its toll on our body. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment. Emotional and relational signs. So maybe you're feeling some of those signs that might be popping up that something's out of sync or something's out of whack or something needs to shift. You might be feeling disconnected. Maybe you have frequent misunderstandings with people you care about or colleagues. And not saying you don't care about colleagues, but misunderstandings with loved ones and misunderstandings with colleagues. Emotions are generally high. You are short, your fuse is short, and it's much more difficult to actually allow your emotions in private and share them from a verbal perspective, not a dumping out onto other people of those emotions. And another sign that you might be ignoring is um, an emotional tone to what others are saying and doing. Maybe you get a, oh, never mind, or whatever, or maybe silence that may suggest there's deeper issues that need to be explored. It is critical that we tune in first to our own emotions and what's happening. Our emotions are our GPS. They are telling us something needs attention. And when we don't, there's three actually very good books that talk about what that can do to your body if you are just ignoring all of these emotional or relational signs. And one of them is called The Body Keeps Score, and that one is by Bessel van der Kolk. And it is that one focuses a lot on trauma, but it's also just about it can be big T traumas or little t traumas, and little t traumas happen to all of us. And there's another book called Feelings Buried Alive Never Die, and that one is by Carol K. Truman, and it outlines how if we ignore our feelings, if we stuff them down, if we ignore them, if we try to, close the door on them, they will return in some way, shape, or form. Our body will keep score. Our body will still hold on to those. They can show up as a headache, as digestive issues, as heart issues, as strokes, as all different things when we do not allow ourselves to feel all those emotions. And then another great book is it's about clutter, but it's not just physical clutter. Peggy Fitzsimmons, in her book Release, How to Live a Clutter-Free and Soul-Driven Life, talks about mental, emotional, energetic, relational, and physical clutter, and how all of that can really cause us to be out of sync with our own self and not feel ourselves and have all of these physical and emotional manifestations. Some of the signs in the workplace could be that you're not getting, the nature of the feedback that you're getting from your team. Maybe it's only positive and you're not really getting people who are disagreeing or people who are pushing back or people who are offering constructive feedback. Another sign could be that your team is hesitant or not sharing mistakes or failures. That might be a sign that there's something out of sync, out of whack, that there's not that attunement and trust and availability, that psychological safety as well. The toll of constant back-to-back meetings, that's another workplace warning sign, is that if you're in back-to-back meetings nonstop, that stress of going without physical, mental, emotional breaks in your day can have a significant impact on your mental capacity, your ability to get real work done. If you don't have that time for deep focus, for deep work, for super thinking time, for allowing your brain to think and do things and then take a break, or be in a meeting and take a break, you will have less capacity. The impact of ignoring those signs leads to burnout, leads to illness. You will have a variety of chronic issues. You lose your focus, you lose your decision-making capacity it starts to decline. You lose your patience, your ability to see the good in things, your ability to see the good in people, your ability to see the possibility, the opportunity, your ability to feel. Brene Brown talks about that we cannot selectively damp down our feelings. We cannot damp down and stuff down frustration and anger and then expect to be able to feel happiness and joy. That's why so many of us don't feel happiness and deep love and joy and well-being, because we've pushed away anger, frustration, depression, all of these other feelings for so long. We each have an energetic blueprint, and coming back to that core of our being, understanding those core gifts, talents, preferences, needs, And aligning with those is one of the key things that I coach my clients on. And so I just want to provide, before I wrap up, a couple different things of how you can start to notice these signs and do something about them. The first thing, so simple, very actionable, is get curious. I know it sounds so simple, and yet sometimes it is so hard to do. Get curious. I had a manager who told me all, and I've shared this before, get curious before you get furious. Take time to explore. Get curious. Take time to explore what is going on. So step one might be just pause and take a few slow, deep breaths. A deep breath isn't, that's not a deep breath. That's an exasperated sigh, and that leads to more stress. Slow, deep breaths. Just take a few slow, deep breaths. Tune into your body. So that's step two. Pause and take a few deep breaths to tune into your body. What do you feel? Where do you feel it? How big is it? Does it have a shape? Does it have a color? Is it moving or vibrating? Is it fast or slow? Just start to give it your attention. And see if just by giving it your attention, you can shift whatever that feeling is that's coming up. You can also ask your inner wise self, your inner child, your inner higher self, what do you need in this moment? What do you need? And if you really think about it, you know what you need. You always know. Imagine that your 7-year-old or 10-year-old self is sitting on the curb, really kind of down or angry or crying. What would you do if you saw a child 5 to 10 years old sitting on the curb, looking down? Put your arm around that child and say, I'm here. What do you need? I'm here. I've got you. What do I need to know? What's going on? Just get curious. Ask yourself, another thing you can ask yourself is, what needs to shift? What needs to change? So that is kind of the first suggestion. I know it's many things wrapped up into this, but get curious. Give yourself a couple of, even if you tuck away if you're at the office and you tuck away into a little corner room, but in between meetings, take a few deep breaths and say, what do I need right now? Then another thing that I'd like to suggest is get help. Whether it's addressing the physical signs that are coming up, take the time. I am going to caution you, though, that if all you do is try to manage the physical signs of what's coming up, they may continue to pop up. Because if you're not looking at the relational, the inside job of what is causing the stress, because it's not all that stuff on the outside. We've talked about this before, and I'll go into it more, but it's not all that stuff on the inside. It's how we're thinking about it. It's what we're thinking that causes us to feel the stress. So exploring some of those signs and with someone else, because oftentimes we can't see them. Having somebody else give us an outside perspective and help us see and help us walk through shifting those patterns and shifting those habits, because that shift takes time. I am almost 60, and it is, I've had a lot of years with some of these habits. They've come along with me like a handy old backpack, and so shifting them, it's a wired pattern in my brain. And so when you're trying to shift some of those patterns and habits, it's very helpful to get some outside help. So it is really, there's some other tips that we can talk through, long-term strategies, setting boundaries, seeking and integrating feedback from both your family members and people at work, all these different things. We'll go into some more of those in another broadcast. This one's already 15 minutes. So we will explore some of those in a future broadcast, but please, please start to tune in. Start to look at the signs that are going on in your life that are telling you something's out of sync, something's out of balance. And if you'd like to talk and schedule a call on how you can start to make some of those shifts in your own life, send me a direct message, email me if you watch this on YouTube, and we'll set up a time to chat and see what we can do to help you start to make that shift from ignoring the signs to really tuning in and allowing yourself to make those shifts in the moment. Have a great rest of your week. Have a great day.